What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of the Roundtable, the essential one. I am your host, Maydrian and Joe, and here with my co-host and fraternity brother, Mr. Javandi Williams.
What's the deal, my guy? I like that. That was live. What you say? We back at the round table, the essential one.
The essential one, baby.
Uh,
Make sure that y'all like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, man, as we get rolling into it. Make sure you interact with our reels on IG, get on their YouTube page, interact with them videos, man. Like and share on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to us at, wherever you at under the sound of my voice, do us a favor and make sure that you're sharing our information with whoever you feel like can benefit from it. We appreciate y'all more than we can ever really express, man. And we just glad to be back here on episode. What number is this? 9?
Big nine.
Well,
Big
9.
nine, not the little one. That's that made me think about it.
Yeah, we had episode number 9, man.
Yeah.
And it's just been a crazy ride thus far. I'm super grateful to be doing this with you. And super grateful to have the opportunity to get on here and really just hold space for each other, and maybe hopefully we helping somebody get through some things and break
Fact.
through some stuff, man. That's really what it all come down to. And today, we talk a lot on this show about learning healthy habits and building a better life, and just really working through things and becoming better people holistically. But also a part of that process is unlearning some stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes unintentionally, or sometimes just because of the way life goes, we learn a lot of things that we probably internalize or we really shouldn't even be dealing with. And so today's episode, for simply lack of a better topic, it's just going to be about, lack of a better way to phrase it, I mean, the topic is about unlearning.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's a wide range of things, right? I know you hear that, and I think like, man, what exactly does that mean? And so the way I wanted to frame it, right, and to kind of guide our conversation is like, in order to ultimately be successful as a person, in my experience, I've had to like confront the ugly truths about the behavior or the ways in which I act that are contradictory to the person I am and person I want to become. I've said that plenty of times on this show before.
Right.
But and a big part of that, I guess, was learning new behaviors and learning healthy habits and ways to implement things and ways to change things, and educating myself, reading books, you know what I mean, building out healthy outlets like exercising and stuff like that. But on the other side of that, right, is having to really sit with yourself and think about all the ways in which you're the problem. Because sometimes it's not other people, sometimes it's us. You know what I mean? So sitting with and dealing with and realizing this may not be them. This may be me in this situation. I may be the issue. I may be the one initiating the drama. I may be the one causing all the issues in this situation. And so for me, that's unlearning, man. I want to break it up into three, well, I guess 2 parts first. So like mental, and then like physical attachment, I guess. And by physical attachment, I mean like the ways in which the habits I have, in which the way I interact with my body. And so like on the mental side, man, I think the biggest thing that I have unlearned or working on unlearning is like, I even made a reel about it earlier this week with people pleasing, right? And so people pleasing, man, ooh, that's something, ain't it? People pleasing
Yeah.
will have your whole life like turned upside down because you're just so caught up and so bound in this idea that you have this responsibility to other people who really don't even, sometimes don't express it to you directly or even expect that from you until you have created this situation where it becomes an unspoken expectation, right? And
Right.
so in unlearning that, right, I think that I have had to really come to terms with the fact that, one, this was a situation that I kind of caused on my own in some instances, right? In some instances, I realized that people have developed this tendency or this dependent habit upon me because I have given them permission to do so in my actions and the way I interact with them.
Right.
And in order to trace where that came from, I really had to do like some work in that. You know what I mean? I had to think about it, and I realized like my habits come from like generational. It's like passed down to me from like family. You know what I mean? Like other people really like, you know, growing up, you don't want to make your parents disappointed. You also want to make them proud. And so you think that in order to make them proud, you have to do certain things or act certain ways, or you
Right.
have to be responsible to them in a way that may have been uncommunicated. When, you know, and I always say uncommunicated boundaries are not boundaries. I mean, uncommunicated expectations are not boundaries, they're prisons. You know what I mean? So it's like if you're uncommunicating, if you're not communicating expressly what it is you want or expressly what it is you need, but you're holding someone responsible to that standard, then they're gonna try to meet you there either by people pleasing or by lying or doing something crazy. And so yeah, that's something that I have really been working on, actively unlearning and just going back to the root of that, man, and realizing that it's something that I didn't even like, nobody had to teach me how to do it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like nobody had to teach me how to do it because I saw my parents do it, and I saw the way they interacted with each other, and I saw the way my siblings interacted with my parents, and the way that if you act a certain way, or if you conform to this type of behavior, if you respond to people's needs in this way by prioritizing theirs and dimming down things that you may need as a person in order to make sure that they can get what they want done, then that is the right thing to do. And so that has been something that I've really been it's been on my heart heavy, and just dealing with that and working through that. But I want to ask you, what, when you think about the term unlearning, like what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about just that in general, that phrase unlearning?
Unlearning, like the first, I'd say confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Unlearning. That's right, right? Like unlearning. Like the first thing that comes to mind, I'd say like it would have to be, um, how do I word this? Unlearning the way that I look at myself,
Mm-hmm.
in the way that, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, go about thinking about what other people are thinking about me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like just like you said, like it all comes from childhood trauma. Like for me, it's childhood trauma. 100%. You know what I'm saying? Because like we're gonna get real vulnerable on this one. I'm gonna get vulnerable. I like, and I'm still like having to unlearn like that today. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up, you know what I'm saying, like being teased, you know what I'm saying, by family. Like I went through, you know what I'm saying, like shit that um, you know what I'm saying, that a child shouldn't go through. You know what I'm saying? I've been told things like that children shouldn't be, you know what I'm saying, told. We start to develop, you know what I'm saying, our psyche at a young age. You know what I'm saying? So whenever you're telling somebody or talking about somebody in a certain way, or you know what I'm saying, putting someone in, you know what I'm saying, just environments with toxic people, you know what I'm saying, when you're introducing bad shit to people at a young age, you know what I'm saying, you hold on to that and you think that that is the way of life. So when I got old enough to like, you know what I'm saying, just start like stepping in my own light, I kind of I kind of like realized like, bro, like I lack confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I lack confidence. Like it's so first day, like I want to say freshman year, my first day at PV, or the first day of class at PV. I think it was like a history class, and they made like everybody stand up and like introduce themselves. I couldn't even like stand up and like say my name and shit because I was so like fearful of what other people, you know what I'm saying, was gonna think about me
Mm-hmm.
because of what I was so used to other people, you know what I'm saying, saying. I had like, you know, been used to, you know, hearing, you know what I'm saying, just people's like bad opinions, or, you know what I'm saying, just false statements and just shit like that. So it's like, well, damn, like this is me, like this is what I'm used to. And, you know, we just gotta unlearn. I've been having to unlearn that and, you know, really just walk in my confidence because I'm not that. Like those are lies. that stuff isn't true. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the first thing I think about is just confidence, because I mean, in order to be successful, like you have to be able to love yourself and be confident in yourself. And without that, you go nowhere. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Why are you
Absolutely.
smiling and grinning, bro?
I was gonna say, I don't want you to think I was laughing at what you were saying, but
Yeah.
every time you kept on saying, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you
Oh
ever
yeah.
seen Why'd I Get Married? But Marcus says that phrase exactly like that. You know what I'm saying? He always says that, why'd I get married? So when you kept on saying it, I started thinking about it when you said it, but I was taking very seriously what you were saying.
I do say that a lot. Whenever I be like going back to listen to our episodes, I'm like, damn, like I say, you know what I'm saying? Like every other like
You know what I'm
word.
saying?
Yes, you know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
know,
that was funny. But I was listening very intentionally to what you were saying. But
right.
I knew what you were saying. I knew exactly what you were saying. So
You know what I'm saying?
but yeah, that is big. I guess what I more so hear is I understand you connected to confidence, but it's like unlearning low self-esteem. You know what I mean?
That, yes. Yes.
Unlearning that what other people's perceptions and what they placed on you in the past, that's not who you are. And so
Hmm.
and I think that's huge, man. I can relate to that as well. I I don't know. I remember I think my why mine is tied to people pleasing too, which is why like the parent mind, I feel like that low self-esteem piece can fall underneath like my categories as well of things I'm unlearning, because I have always kind of dealt with that in a sense as well, hearing what people had to say. I think that people had negative things to say about me when I wasn't present, but it was always celebratory when I was there. It was always, oh, Maydrian's accomplishing XYZ academically. Majoring's done this, this, and this. But and then like when I would hear cousins would tell me, oh, but he's doing this, this, and this, or they would and this, and this. And I'm like, well, damn, like it's wishy-washy. You know what I mean? There's no
Yeah.
information, and there's definitely no, authenticity or uniformity within like the praises or the hatred. Like pick a side. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I definitely feel that 100%. And I think that it's so hard to really unlearn shit sometimes, because people really don't talk about what it takes and what you have to invest in it, because you really have to confront those traumas. You know what I mean? Like in a real substantive way, you have to be able to sit in your discomfort. And I think too, realizing, right, because I've just spent a lot of time, and while let me pause and let me just explain where I'm going before I say it. So the
Hmm.
reason why I think it's so important to do this unlearning work, right? And I'll also pose this question to you after I give my explanation, so you can be thinking about this now while I'm talking through it. But why do you think it's important for you to unlearn those habits and unlearn things that kind of those traumas and things that have impacted us and kind of molded us into the men that we are today? Why do
Right.
you think it's helpful to unlearn those habits or those types of ideas, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I think it's mm, I saw something the other day. I don't know if you follow Belief in Fatherhood, but he makes like videos about being a black father on TikTok. It's like one of the most positive social media platforms you can interact with on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, right? And he said somebody asked him like, why do you what when you started making content seriously, like what advice do you have to people who are scared or don't want to take that jump into making content seriously? He was like, I'm not mad at you. I understand you got things coming, but move out the way. And he was like, I started doing it seriously, and I started taking my role seriously, because I don't want to be responsible for holding somebody else's breakthrough hostage because I'm scared
Mhm.
or I'm nervous about what someone's going to say or how someone's going to respond to what I'm posting, right? And so
Right.
I look at it as, if I don't do my work and on myself and talk to myself and understand why I am the way I am and why my traumas manifest in the ways that they do and why I accept certain behaviors from people or why I deal with certain people in certain capacities. If I don't do that work today as a single man, You know what I mean? As someone who doesn't have any children, if I don't do that work now and understand those traumas so that I can go back to the origin and understand that this is what caused this, and this is how this manifests, and this is how it manifests in my mom or my father or my aunt or my uncle or my cousin or my friend. You know what I mean? And this is how it manifests within myself, how this behavior is linked amongst us and how I can stop it. If I just look at this and identify this trigger, identify this issue, and detach myself from it, then I'm going to be stuck in that loop forever.
Mhm.
And so my breakthrough is worth me doing the work. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be the person that I don't want to inflict the unhealthy habits on another person, whether it be a partner in a relationship, a woman that I'm dating, whether that be a friend, whether that be a line brother, whether that be a niece or a nephew or a sibling. I don't want to inflict those generational traumas on somebody else because I haven't taken the time to unlearn and heal from what hurt me. So
Hurt people.
yeah, and healed people deliver people.
Yeah.
And so if I could be healed and deliver somebody, that's my responsibility to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Why is it important to unlearn? So first, like while you was talking, I was thinking about this book that I just finished reading. Did I talk about Unfuck Yourself already
Mm-hmm.
on the
A
episode?
little bit.
Yeah, so just to kind of go back, I think it was the same chapter that I brought up. It was called We're Wired to Win.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that, you know what I'm saying, the things that we unlearn, they all start in the mind. You know what I'm saying? So like if you know what I'm saying, if you believe a certain thing, then that's literally what you're gonna succeed at, whether it's successful or whether it's positive or negative. You know what I'm saying? So like just for example, I'm trying to unlearn um I don't know. I'll just use my example. I'm trying to unlearn what'd you say? Low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
If I think that if I continue to cope with thinking in that thought pattern of low self-esteem, then my results are going to be results that align with that low self-esteem because that's what I'm telling myself. That's what I'm feeding my brain, like, oh well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not, you know what I'm saying, I'm inadequate, you know what I'm saying, versus me feeding
Yep.
myself like positivity or whatever. So it's important. I believe that it's important to unlearn those things because, you know what I'm saying, again, we're wired to, you know, live out the things that we put, you know, in.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know what I'm saying, just as you were explaining, and this is like one of my biggest goals is to, you know what I'm saying, build a family. And I've came to realization that, you know, like I can't lead a family broken.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that I'll ever be perfect, but you know what I'm saying, healing is an everlasting journey. And I just think about myself being 30, 35 years old, still dealing with what I'm dealing with or what I have dealt with. And I just get like so sick to my stomach. Like that would be disgusting. You know what I'm saying? Because I know people now that are much older than me and act like children.
That are
I'm
stuck.
just and
That
I'm
are
like
stuck in
stuck in
their.
their ways. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? I'm just like, man, I don't think that that could be me.
Yep.
Like I don't think that I could do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to unlearn, you know what I'm saying, things just so that, you know what I'm saying, your future you isn't, you know, still stuck in the past. Like
Mm-hmm.
you 45 and 50 acting your shoe size. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to really just focus on that, you know, from a mental standpoint, because nobody else, nobody else, including you, like you shouldn't even be suffering from things that you should have been taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my piece on that.
we'll talk a little bit about how do we do that though, right? Because I think
Yeah.
it's real easy to jump into like those self-help books and you identify like, okay, I may have boundary issues, or I may be, engaged in self down talk, or I may just deal with a myriad of issues that kind of prevent me from really getting to the level or getting where I want to go.
Hmm.
And I did a little research as well as just thinking about some stuff from my own life. And so one of the books that I've also been reading, which I know is the New York best time seller list, Go Atomic Habits. It's always on there, and it's just people always ratting and raving about it. And one of the things that he talks about a lot in that book is habit stacking, right? So this idea that if you do one habit, you stack once you establish it is easier for you to do another one, or to keep that habit if you stack another one on top of it, right? And so in a way that I do it while I'm teaching myself something new, right, is like I'm unlearning checking my phone as soon as I wake up. Like that's something that's not as deep, but it's just something that I'm actively unlearning, because I will usually jump up and grab my phone, and an hour will roll past because I've just been doing stuff on my phone laying in the bed. As soon as I wake up at 5 to read for class, and now I've wasted this time because I've just been sitting here in the bed scrolling, scrolling. And so one of the ways I've unlearned that is that when I get in bed, I plug my phone up on the opposite side of the room, and now I have a book set on the side of my bed instead of my phone. So when my devotional, when I get up in the morning, first thing I grab is my devotional, and I read that. So I stack those two habits on top of each other, plugging my phone up away from me, putting my book there every night, and then I do that with each other. So that way I learn and I build that connection that when it's time to go to bed, I do this, I go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so in the same way, I feel like you could use that when unlearning things, right? And I think that goes back to like my first, I guess, like step with that, with unlearning, or first idea with unlearning something, is identifying your triggers, right? So when you know that you're going to be in an environment, or you're going to be in somewhere that's going to create a feeling, or a desire to crawl back into that mind space where you typically don't want to be in anymore, you're trying to unlearn that. You need to know that, hey, if I am doing this activity, this is going to make me feel a little insecure, or this is going to make me feel I may violate my own boundaries because I may overcommit to a task, or I may engage in people pleasing. You know what I mean? So identifying situations where that may happen, and then try to fall back from that. And you build on that, I would say, by what I like to call step 2, the habit you attach to that is replacing and repealing, right? So once you've identified that, or repeal and replace, rather, identify that trigger, you're going to repeal it, remove it from your life, and then replace it with a positive, like, reinforcement, or a positive thing, right? So when you think about, like for me, with the unlearning the phone usage, how I've replaced the stimulus with a book, because I still had the desire that, my brain is going to be fresh, it's going to want to be stimulated when I wake up. So I replaced my phone with the book, and then I've repealed it, I guess, by removing it out of the way. And so I think that is some of the steps that I have on that. And then I guess too, also just planning it out. You know what I mean? Like writing things helps me a lot sometimes. You know what I mean? Unlearning, and just sometimes it's easier to see something written down and write. It's easier, I guess, to write or express your feelings when you write something out, instead of having to always try to verbalize it. Sometimes for me,
Mhm.
in my experience anyway, because sometimes I just can't seem to say exactly what it is I feel, but I never have a problem writing it all the way down. And yeah, I think those are my tips on that, on how to actually unlearn. But I also think it's just too, like, being intentional and being honest with yourself
Yeah.
about the truth of the matter. You know what I mean? Because like it's really easy to know something is wrong, or really easy to identify something that happened to you and say, well, that happened to me, and I, or like, it's easy to say, well, I'm like this because this happened to me. I'm like this because so and so did this, the way my mama did it, that's the way her mama did it to her. And
Right.
so now that's just how I am. That's just who I am. No, that's who you're choosing to be. That's
Exactly.
not just how you are. That's who you're choosing to be. Every day we get a choice to decide the type of person we want to be. And if you're actively choosing that type of behavior and that type of mindset and that type of trauma, you're choosing your trauma. You know what I
Yep.
mean? That's who you're going to be. So I think it comes to being really brutally honest with yourself about what you need to stop doing. You know what I mean? At least for me, I had to just really be honest with myself about, hey, if I want to heal in the way I say I do, I got to stop doing some of this shit because nobody understands or feels or gets the pain attachment that comes to it like I do.
Right.
And so
Only you understand.
only I understand in a real way. And you know, I really think that goes to that. I'm done, and you can talk after this. And it goes to the saying, nobody cares, try harder. You know what I mean? I think that like people care, you know what I mean, but nobody cares because they don't care in the way that you do. So try harder. You know what I mean? You have to change for yourself. And so
It's like it's your life, you know what I'm saying? Like if you choose to if you decide to fuck it up or do good, it ain't gonna make them no difference. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
yeah. But I'll let you talk on that a little bit if you got something to say about that. How do you unlearn once you've identified that? How do you really unlearn? How do you begin to do the unlearning work? I guess is a better question.
Okay, so
Or
just to put like, huh?
how do you do it personally?
Yeah, me. So I was gonna say like just to put, how things have been going for me into perspective, like especially like here recently. Um, and I mentioned in other episodes, like these past 2 years have been like a real like, what I'm saying, just a wake up, Joe, you know what I'm saying, this who you are, getting to know myself, like healing journey or whatever. And once I really like figured out what I really want out of life, like, what my desires were, it
Mm,
helped me, see the things that I have to, unlearn in order to be successful in that area. As well as, what I'm saying, the things that I know from common sense that are bad. So once I identified those, I what I'm saying, I said, okay, so I know what I need to do now. Now it's just repetition.
mm,
Like I've identified, what I'm saying, what it is that I need to change. And I see that I'm doing this. I see that I still have triggers. Now it's just repetition. And it's weird now because I literally like be almost waiting for those triggers to go off so that I can like, step in and really like work my way out of it. You know what I'm saying? Work my way. That's another thing that I struggle with is like reacting like instantly, like just impulse reactions like out of emotion. Like I'm trying to unlearn that.
mm,
Um, but I wouldn't have realized that if I wouldn't, if I wasn't being intentional about growing towards the thing that I want to be successful at. So I just like I don't know, like I don't really have a process for it, but I know, what I'm saying, like I can discern whether or not I'm treating a situation good or bad by how I react. So like in the midst of that situation, I'm trying to control myself and, get better over time with it.
mm,
So I mean that's pretty much what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like I have my big picture and what I'm saying, I have the things that I need to unlearn, like you said earlier, um, just being real with yourself, being honest with yourself, and you know, incorporating repetition, like just practicing because practice makes perfect. It's a habit. Like it's a habit for me to react this way. You know what I'm saying? When somebody pissed me off, it's a habit for me to say no to that cheeseburger on Friday. You know what I'm saying? It's a habit for me to get up and go to the gym every day. You know what I'm saying? It's a habit to love. Like love is a habit. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm pissed off about something and or no, pissed off at you, you know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be easy for me to, excuse me, to neglect what we have going on You know what I'm saying? Because I'm pissed. Like I should be able to, or I should have built up habit enough to say, oh, well, this is just another, you know what I'm saying, disagreement argument. We need to talk this out. Like it's all like, you know what I'm saying, habit based. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to literally like build and establish your approach to things in order to remain consistent over time. So yeah, that's me. That's what I do.
I think too, a caveat to add would be that both of us are in this space, right? I think too, a large part of our ability to really like have this internal inflection deals with the fact that we're both like in isolated environments, right? Where both of us are away from what is quote unquote home, even though we're home because we're in our
Right.
respective homes, but where we grew up, where we were coming to be, the person, the foundational part of us getting to this part where we are now to realize our potential is where we were growing up in Houston and stuff like that, and in Dallas respectively. But and to be where we are now, Ohio, and I'm in West Texas, it is the isolation that gives you the time a lot of times to really just have those reflective moments, right? Because I think too, a part of it is where you are sometimes it's hard for us as people to sit in our truths and hard for us to realize it when we have all these distractions around us, right? And so it's easier to block out your healing as a person when you're able to go to brunch every Sunday, when you're able to be at the club on Friday, we had grooves on Saturday, we had space on Friday, you know what I mean? Or we had we on a deep element on Thursday night, you know what I mean? And
We
so
outside. You
and
know what I'm saying?
not saying that there's people who are in places because it's not um it's not impossible to do your work in your space and still be able to have a social life and engage and stuff like that. But I also think that for us individually, it just adds an extra layer of perspective or extra layer of like a caveat to think about an application of the episode that we are in spaces where we are like kind of foreigners, even though we've been here for a while now in our respective places, but it's still like it's a foreign environment because it ain't what we used to. And then we are able to go back and engage in those type of activities there. So I think we're able to like have an opportunity to do our work at home because I spend hours by myself sometimes on a day. You know what I mean? I'm at home pretty much in the early parts of the morning, and for the rest of the evening after class, I'm here with myself alone in my thoughts, and so I'm able to think about all the ways and ways which interact with people, even in small interactions or over the phone, and how I allow people to treat me. Because I think that's what really comes down to it, like what like um self-sabotage and unlearning, because that's
Yeah.
a big part of that is self-sabotage too, right?
Right.
So once you are able to see how you're allowing people to interact with you, you're able to shift your behavior because you are able to identify that in your own space and in your own time and say, hey, I don't really like that. I don't really want to interact with people like this anymore. I
Yes.
don't really want people to hold me to that type of standard or hold space for me like that anymore. Like that's not what I want. And so yeah, I just think that's important to note for sure, man. And
Bro, can I say something real quick?
mhm,
I think that every person on the planet, like everybody on this earth, would benefit from isolation.
mhm,
Just think about it. Like we're born into a system,
mhm,
and not just one, it's multiple systems. You know what I'm saying? We're born into multiple systems. Um, you know what I'm saying? So like pretty much the masses, like everybody's moving one way.
yep,
And when you really just like step back and learn stuff for yourself, you kind of get to like start to pave that path for yourself and see things, like I said earlier, see things um that you no longer, like you said, no longer want to associate yourself with, things that you want to unlearn, you know what I'm
mhm,
saying? Like in order to, get better. Like isolation is a cheat code
yep,
for life, in my opinion, bro. Because like I could say that, you know what I'm saying, we probably ain't nowhere, you know what I'm saying, near where we're gonna be, you know what I'm saying, just mentally. talking about strength in that aspect, but where we are now, just off the strength of isolation is crazy.
Absolutely.
Because we was having these conversations, but we weren't like really just dedicated to personal growth
The
like
work.
we have been, you know what I'm saying? And it's because of the fact that we are forced basically to face ourselves in this moment. So
Yeah.
like
I had a conversation with somebody earlier this week actually, and I was talking about that. Like I had been scratching the surface of self-development and self-love and self-growth for like 2 years. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that reckoning came in 2020 and I never really like sat and did the work. And like I
mm,
feel like I'm actually doing it now. And I think that's a part of the process. Like we can't get on this platform and talk about love and hope and prosperity and trying to make somebody break through if we ain't actually did it ourselves. That ain't Jesus to do that. Jesus walked the walk. He did it. So he knew what it took. He knew what it took in order for us to get where we want to go. And so, yeah, I think that as paramount as someone, as we think about our relationship to the people around us and those looking up to us, I can't tell you about something I have not been through. And
right.
if I've been through it and I've learned from it and I've grown through it, then it's my responsibility to share it with you so that you can learn from my mistakes and do it better. But yeah, you hit the hammer right on the head then, man. Like having the isolation. And I think isolation can come also like just with even having your own space, like having your own apartment in a city that you may be from. But if you just have your own space and you are able to sit and just be with your thoughts, you know what I
Just be at the
mean?
crib.
Yeah.
Like not having to be at the partner crib, or you know what I'm saying,
Just
just
be
out. Like
just be with you. You know what
yes.
I mean? And I think that once you're able to oh man, the homecoming podcast, shout out to Dr. Tamer Bryant, because she is always talking about that. Being
Yeah.
able to be comfortable with yourself, being able to be okay with it just being you. And and because like I didn't notice, right? And I think one of the things why I say I'm unlearning the phone thing is because like my attachment to that is that sometimes I don't I can't think about time periods in my house where I'm in here and it's just silence. Like I don't like silence. And that's because I'm running from something. I'm running from this idea of being alone with my thoughts because I either got music playing or I got the TV on or I got a lecture on that I already watched or I got a podcast playing. I got the aromatherapy thing sound going humming, and it's like, when have I ever just sat in my thoughts? And so I've actually started meditating recently, and in the mornings when I wake up, just to like, or at night before I go to bed, just to clear my head and just sit with my thoughts because it's like I don't do that. And so, and that's a part of the unlearning thing for me, at least, being able to really reconcile those thoughts. And it's a day by day thing. You know what I mean? Like Atomic Habits, again, shameless plug, teaches us that it's you build that atom day by day. You know what I mean? That's how you win the race. It's not a jump to the finish line thing, but if I'm able to sit at the end of the night and reconcile how I'm handling things better, how I'm unlearning these habits, how I am actively becoming a better person day by day, brick by brick, I'm building a better life for myself. And so, yeah, man,
I
that
think
yeah, it was something.
I think Warren Buffett's like trading career, his journey is it can be an accurate representation for just everything in life, because
Mm,
I've mentioned this before, like everything is a process, but every process up until the result takes some sort of, you know what I'm saying, some small profit along the way. Like,
mhm,
and by profit I mean, like you said, doing the work. Like me
mhm,
journaling today, you know what I'm saying, like coming out about things in my journal or praying, like that's profit for the day.
mhm,
So think about like compounding profit, or you know what I'm saying, just compounding good habits over time. Like you can't fail. You cannot fail
That's
by
one of the
doing
main themes of Atomic Habits, what you just said, compounded habits. You got to read that book. You have to.
I'm gonna get it for sure. I'm gonna add it. I don't know if it's. I think it is on my list now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna for sure
That's
get that.
one of the main themes of that book. But yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just
No,
have
you good. That's all I was saying. Like it's. I just think that we have to realize and always be mindful of the fact that um healing and just better in general, and it's not gonna happen overnight.
mm,
Um, in some cases it could, like, people wake up rich, something happened, what I'm saying? I just got a bunch of bread in the bank, but like real life, that's not real life.
yep.
You know what I'm saying? Real life is, like being a dog, like, what I'm saying, like just waking up every day, putting in the work and working towards something, what I'm saying, and being
Getting
proud.
after it every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. That's all I had on that.
Yeah, man. I think that's about it for me too. I just really wanted to give a couple more tips if that's cool as far as jumping into that unlearning journey, man. I think it's okay to also to really just I want us to link where I pull these tips from in the
Mm,
description this time. I'll
yeah.
shoot that to you. But I thought they were really good. And I didn't like there was some extra ones on there, but these are just the ones that I felt like were applicable to me.
Yeah.
But also one of the things I think that's super important is like to be assertive and committed to what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like you have to be not mean with yourself, but you have to be responsible to yourself for like if you want to stop engaging in that thing, if you want to stop having those habits, if you want to stop acting like that, you have to be like resolute in your no. No is a complete sentence. No to yourself, no to other people, no to circumstances, no to situations, no to relationships. You have to be resolute in that no. And you
Yep.
have to be able to stand on that and stand with what comes with it. You know what I mean? I think like I can think about, for example, the biggest thing that keeps me bound in my unhealthy people pleasing tendencies is this fear that people will feel some type of way about me or not like me or not want to engage with me as a person or not want to interact with me in the same way because I'm telling them, oh, I can't do this or I don't want to do this or I don't like this. And so it's like, well, it's okay. I won't worry about it. But
Can
what
I
happens?
cut you off real quick?
Mhm.
And this is kind of like off topic, but I was thinking about that too. You know what I'm saying? There's a thing that I saw on social media that was saying like, yeah, like you could do so much for a person, but as soon as you say no, you find out who you're dealing with. And that's
Yep.
how we like literally determine, what I'm saying, who our real friends are. Like if I say no to you, like how are you gonna act
Mhm.
after that? You know what I'm saying? And it's just repetition, like practice saying no. The more you say no, the more you know what I'm saying, weed out the people who ain't supposed to be in your life. So
Absolutely. Because
yeah.
if you tell some people no, you tell a friend with healthy boundaries or a family with healthy boundaries no, they're gonna be like, okay, that's cool.
Cool, like I understand.
Nedra, going back, that's my dog too.
Yeah.
We friends in my head. But he says all the time, like no is a complete sentence for some people, and sometimes she just made a video the other day like sometimes you owe or you can give some people an explanation with your no. But
Yeah,
with
I
some
saw
people,
that.
no is just a complete sentence, which is true. But for some people, like your girlfriend or your partner,
Mhm.
you can give them an explanation. No, I can't do that because XYZ. And so,
Absolutely.
but or with your parent, but sometimes my no is my no.
Right.
Can you come to this meeting? Nope.
Nope.
Send a message. Can you do this? Nope.
Yeah.
And so I've learned to get more comfortable with saying no. Like I really and I don't Joe, I'm somebody who I was doing everything on the yard. If somebody
Yep.
asked me to do it, I was gonna be there. It doesn't matter if I had to go from this meeting to this one and this one be from meeting from 5 to 11. I was gonna be at
Right.
every meeting. I was gonna be there on time. I was gonna be attentive, and I was gonna get the work done at my sacrifice,
Yep.
right? But in this period of my life, I am more important than somebody else's priorities.
Yep.
And so Yeah, you have to be assertive in that thing. And then you have to also, the other part of that, right? The inverse of that is ask for help. When you can't do something, ask for help. Ask somebody. And that's another thing. Once you develop that Superman or Superwoman syndrome, thinking you can do everything, it becomes impossible to ask for help.
Right.
That I am of no asset to people at 50%. I am of no asset at 80%. I am only my best self when I can give you everything I have to offer. And
Absolutely.
so when I can't do something, I've learned, hey, I can, if you can teach me how to do this the right way, I will be able to perform and execute it in the manner in which you want me to. But right now, I don't understand what you're asking me to do. So I'm going
Right.
to ask you for help to help me figure this out. And yeah, man, I think those are my top tips. I think I gave like 5. So to
Mhm.
recap, I'll just say identify and know your triggers. That's important. You know what I mean? Once you've kind of figured out what causes you to go back to that space, identify that. Then once you've done that, repeal and replace. Switch them out, you know what I mean, for something that's going to be proactive in your life and help you get where you're trying to go. And then also plan that stuff out, write it out when you don't have the desire or the words to really express how you feel, the journey to yourself, and just write it down. And then
Mhm.
be assertive and committed and ask for help. And those are my tips for the journey of unlearning, things that I'm actively doing, because I'm actively unlearning stuff still. You know, we ain't
Right.
perfect. I ain't Jesus. So
Right.
I mean, perfection costs a cross, and I don't think I can pay that. So yeah, man, that's all I pretty much got. I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah. My I think I had 3.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really, really simple. You know what I'm saying? You figure out what you want out of life. Um, and that should tell you, you know what I'm saying, who and what, you know what I'm saying, it is that I need to be unlearning and unsurrounding myself around, unassociating myself with.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know what I'm saying, whenever those opportunities present themselves, you have to literally be um aware and mindful in the moment so that you're practicing how to react in the way that you should be. You know what I'm saying? And just, you know what I'm saying, repeating that over time, it'll be like second nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh well, I know this is something that I didn't want. So um it's easy for me to say no because I've built, you know what I'm saying, the resistance towards that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um so yeah, those are just my things. Like aware of who you are, you know what I'm saying, what you want out of life. Um and knowing that's one, knowing what you need to fix and unlearn in order to walk that path. And repetition, practice, like actually executing and getting better at it. That's all I had.
Absolutely. Well, man, another great episode in the books. Again, we're super, super grateful for y'all. Please subscribe, share, and interact with us in the comments, man. Let us know what y'all want to hear about. If something blessed you or benefited you from the show, this episode in particular, or any episode, let us know, man. Let us know what we can do better. Let us know
Yup.
what we can change. We are coming to a close on our first season, and we definitely coming back with a whole different vibe next season.
Whole different vibe.
Also, I had the opportunity, man, to speak on the BBK Connection podcast last week.
Mhm.
If y'all haven't heard that, go ahead and hop over to her podcast and check her out. Super dope. Love interviewing with her, and she does just like all different types of stuff in relation to young Black people who are out here doing major things. So check her podcast out. It's also really geared towards like people that are in the collegiate atmosphere. So if you're listening, you're in college, man, I think you'll get something from that episode for sure. And other episodes on our podcast. And again, man, we really just appreciate y'all. Thanks for rocking with us. 2 more episodes, 3 or 10, 11, 12.
Yep.
They're left in this season, man. And then we're going to be on a little break. I'm going to come back swinging like Muhammad Ali.
Swinging, swinging.
I ain't even going to see it coming. And we'll catch
Yep.
you next time. Love and light.
Yep.